This video is made for adult collectors because sting like a scorpion, not a bee, whatever.
On guard, it's about to go down. On guard, it's about to go down. On guard, it's about to go down. On guard, it's about to go down.
Stock images really aren't great, are they? A lot of people were ready to just write Scorponok off, and while I wasn't, I still didn't think he was going to be outstanding. But lo and behold, the transformation for this thing made me go, oh wow, when I got it out of the box for the first time. Like, I was in a call with my buddies, and I opened it, I was like, oh wow. And they're like, what? And I had to show them, it was great. Like, the figure itself is pretty alright. It's fun, but not top 10 material, though top 20 material, I can kind of see that. My biggest visual issue is how the silver doesn't stand out on the shade of blue plastic question mark. It just kind of blends in too much and it can be hard to spot, so he looks a tad plain. Other than that, I have no visual qualms. He looks as creepy as I'd like him to, and there's a lot of fun to mess with. I didn't think he was going to be as photogenic as he was, but here we are, and he is so fun to play with, though there's one issue I have. His torso does like to unclip every now and then and can get a tad annoying. I bet if I just thicken that part, it should work fine, but every once in a while I find myself unpegging the torso. Other than that though, he's really solid. There's nothing loose out of the box, and actually, speaking of the box, there's like extra structure and stuff in the box, which is nice. He just looks creepy and intimidating for a deluxe toy, and he's also dynamic and not boring, minus the color palette. I love the giant meat cleavers for hands. Like, it makes him look like a swarmer just built to rip and tear. Wait, wrong franchise. He's very well balanced. The way his legs are sculpted, you have to have his knees slightly bent to give him more of a goblin-like look, and he pulls that off quite well, and the big feet and the heels make him super stable. Even if his tail is plugged into his back, giving that extra little bit of back weight, he can stand perfectly fine. Love the head sculpt and how it's just the scorpion head. Even though that may seem a bit lazy to some, I think it's rather neat. Like, it just kind of makes sense, like the 2007 Scorponok toy. My eyeballs itchy. Ah! His scorpion legs are on a couple hinges and ball joints on the upper ones, so they can move out of the way if you need to. You can orient them however you want, but I like them like this personally. And his tail can come off and peg into his wrist, and then his hand can sit very satisfyingly into the tail and look integrated. That's very cool. But the coolest part is the articulation, because I wasn't expecting this to go this hard.
On guard, it's about to go down. On guard, it's about to go down. On guard, it's about to go down. On guard, it's about to go down.
So Scorponok has all your standard stuff that you would expect nowadays from a modern toy, but like, it's his shaping and his proportions that make him dynamic. Like, it's not the range of the joints, it's how he looks. And I think that's really interesting. Also, you can cheat with the torso to get the trigger happy shoulders to not be annoying. So to start with, the head can look up that far, or it can look up all the way that far. It can look down that much. You have a little bit of left and right swivel, but I kind of wish the cut was a little bit deeper. But you can like rotate it and stuff to get it to look a little bit more that way, and it looks creepy, so I guess that counts. Shoulders are on ball joints. They can do a full 360, but the legs do get in the way. They can go out that far, and like I said, if you just untab all of this and then retab it back in, you can bring the shoulder assembly out to allow for a little bit more outward movement and it not clashing with the head. So that's nice. You have bicep rotation, you have double jointed elbows, you have wrist rotation, and the wrist can move inward that way. You have a waist joint. You have this piece that comes undone a lot. You got hips that can go forward that far. They're really stiff on my copy. They can go back that far, they can go in and out. You have thigh rotation. You have a knee bend that is 90 degrees. Now this doesn't really tab in at all. It's just sort of held there on friction. And while the friction's great, sometimes it can be annoying. And then you have the feet that can go forward, they can go back, and you have ankle pivot. So he's very, very posable. And then the tail has a joint here and a joint here and a joint here, but like that's just for like plugging it in. Doesn't really work super well, but yeah, whatever. So that's the robot, a thing we never saw in the film, but it shines quite well. Now let's do that scorpion mode. So Scorponok's transformation is very, very interesting, especially in the torso. So to start with, what we're going to do is, well, the torso. So the first thing you're going to want to do, well, I'm going to do just to make it filming easier, move those out of the way, rotate the hands inward and then rotate the biceps 90 degrees. And then they very satisfyingly, if as long as you don't miss, they very satisfyingly just sort of slip into there. That's really nice. Like, foop, there it goes, into there. Love that. Then unpeg the waist, open this up, flip the head up. Then there's the scorpion arms. They just sort of fold out and then they do clip up here into place like that. And then you want to shift the torso up, rotate this down, rotate this around. So then this section will go in there. You pull this out, rotate it, and that's how you get the back legs. Fold the torso up. Then you want to bring the legs down and shift them however, oh God, they're stiff. However which way they need to for your orientation. And then I'm just gonna like flatten it all out now. Get everything touching the ground, like so. Then the tail just plugs in if you have detached it, sorry. And there you have the scorpion mode. And that is such a nice transformation to do back and forth. And he's a very large toy. Like, this is very large. What an actually satisfying transformation to lead to this bomb-ass scorpion. Like, seriously, this is the coolest I think Scorponok has ever looked, in my opinion. Ever so slightly beating out that 2007 one. I love the way the claws are made and how they look. I like how his body naturally slopes up to the back to emphasize the tail. The curve of the tail is also, like, extremely clean, though I wish it had a bit more range at the joint at the base so it could, like, reach forward past his head. Here it's just really for show. It doesn't go any further than, like, that. The legs don't have that much in the way of articulation, but there's enough to make them look like they're moving and semi-interesting. So that's pretty nice. The purple paint on the back looks cool too, but again, it just kind of gets lost in that plastic. But the one thing I'll give the purple over the silver is that I like the subtlety. Doesn't get helped though by how not subtle the purple plastic is in relation to the paint, so it looks off. But like, if you just isolate that purple paint on the plastic, I really like how subtle it looks. But it's a solid deluxe. I really like it. It surprised me greatly and is something I would definitely recommend. And I can... Why is it hard for me to read right now? And I can totally see either re-releases in other colors or like a box set down the line that includes redecos similar to the Troop Builder and Creatures Collide packs. Because he was red in the film, and there are several different colored concept versions, like a green one and a purple one and like a blank one. And there's a bunch. So I could totally see them like concept seriesing maybe some of the other redecos, but I definitely say it's worth the pickup. But that's my look at Rise of the Beast Deluxe Class Studio Series Scorponok. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. I need to sneeze.